The beach house at Los Angeles felt peaceful on that afternoon. Will Spencer had taken Hayes out for his usual stroll along the sandy shore, leaving the house quiet and serene. In the kitchen downstairs, Dylan bustled about preparing dinner focused on her culinary tasks. It seemed like an ordinary day, but nothing on Times. The Bold and the Beautiful Times ever stays ordinary for long. Ivy Forrester moved through the corridors of the beach house with calculated precision. Her mind was sharp, her intentions clear. She needed ammunition, something, anything that could be used against Dylan. The young woman had become increasingly protective of Will, and Ivy couldn't shake the feeling that Dylan represented a threat to her carefully laid plans. As she searched the living room hoping to find evidence of wrongdoing or manipulation, fate intervened in the most unexpected way possible. A leather handbag sat on the edge of a cushioned chair. Ivy recognized it as Dylan's, and her fingers traced the worn edges with curiosity. Then it happened. Her hand brushed against the bag, and it tumbled to the floor. The contents scattered across the polished wooden surface. Among the everyday items of a woman's life, something else emerged, an old leather-bound notebook. Ivy picked it up and her eyes widened as she opened the worn pages. What she discovered inside would become the most dangerous secret at the beach house, a secret that could unravel everything. The journal of a broken man. The handwriting was hasty, emotional, almost chaotic in places. Dylan had written these pages with the kind of urgency that comes from desperate need to confess, to document, to remember, or perhaps to forget. But it was the date on the first page that made Ivy's hands tremble the very day Luna Nozawa died. The entries were raw and honest in a way that seemed almost reckless. Dylan's trembling pen had traced words that described a moment no one should have to experience. She wrote about the sensation of the wheels of her car making contact with something, someone, the impact, the sudden awareness that she had just struck a human being, the immediate horror and shock that followed. I can still feel the weight one passage read. I don't know how many times I've tried to describe it to put it into words, but there's no way to truly explain what it feels like to realize you've just ended someone's life. Accidental or not, I did this. Ivy's eyes scanned line after line of Dylan's anguished confessions. The pages revealed the depth of Dylan's guilt, her torment, her complete breakdown in the hours and days that followed. But it was another passage that made Ivy's blood run cold. I wasn't paying attention. Dylan had written, I was distracted, lost in my thoughts. I didn't see her until it was too late. The wheel didn't grip fast enough. The brake wasn't engaged quickly enough. If I had just been present in that moment, if I had just been focused, Luna Nozawa would still be alive. The night that Ivy found her leverage. The revelation hit Ivy like a physical blow. Dylan hadn't just killed Luna, she had done so because she was distracted, careless, negligent. Moreover, the diary contained a confession of something even darker. Dylan had seen Luna running toward the road. She had observed Luna's desperate flight from whoever was chasing her. And instead of helping, instead of braking, Dylan's mind had wandered. I watched her run. One particularly damning passage stated, For just a moment I saw her heading toward the street and something in me didn't react fast enough. The seconds ticked by like they were in slow motion, but I was moving through molasses. She was vulnerable. She was fleeing, and I couldn't save her. Ivy's mind raced with possibilities. This diary was a treasure trove of confession and self-incrimination. Dylan could face serious legal consequences: vehicular manslaughter, reckless endangerment, failure to maintain proper vehicle control. But more importantly, this diary revealed the truth about Dylan that everyone had been avoiding. Without hesitation, Ivy reached for her phone and positioned it carefully over the pages. Click after click, she photographed the most damaging passages. The words seemed to glow with accusation as the camera captured every confession, every admission of guilt. Every moment of Dylan's internal struggle, the web of consequences. As Ivy continued snapping photographs, her mind was already spinning ahead to the consequences. She could see exactly how these images would play out in the lives of those around her. Will Spencer had been nothing but protective of Dylan, almost to the point of obsession. He had taken her into his home, given her employment, defended her honor when questions arose about Luna's death. But what would happen when Will discovered that his houseguest, the woman he had been championing, had not just killed Luna, but had done so through a moment of complete inattention? He'd be disgusted, Ivy whispered to herself, a slight smile playing at her lips. He'd never be able to look at her the same way. But there was another layer to Ivy's plan, one that was far more calculated and cruel. If Will turned away from Dylan in revulsion and disappointment, it wouldn't just hurt Dylan. It would damage Will himself. The man who had been so quick to forgive and protect would feel foolish, manipulated, betrayed, and worst of all, from Ivy's perspective, it would create the perfect opportunity for her own plans to flourish. Ivy held her phone aloft, reviewing the photographs she had taken. Each image was clear, damning, and absolutely explosive. She had exactly what she needed, not just to drive Dylan away from Will, but to ensure that Will would never trust anyone like Dylan again. Whispers and revelations. The next morning, tensions began to brew beneath the surface of the beach house. Dylan noticed Will seemed distant, lost in thought. There were moments when he looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read, not quite anger, not quite suspicion, but something shifting in that direction. Ivy, meanwhile, was biding her time. She knew that information was currency in this family, and she was prepared to spend it strategically. "I can't believe she's been living here this whole time," Ivy remarked casually to Electra during a private conversation. "Acting like she's so concerned about you and Will. Pretending to be your friend." "What do you mean?" Electra asked, her youthful face showing confusion. "I just mean, people aren't always who they seem to be," Ivy replied, her words dripping with insinuation. "Sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones closest to us. The ones we trust the most." The conversation was vague enough to be innocent, but loaded enough to plant seeds of doubt. The moment of truth approaches. As days passed, Dylan sensed something shifting in the atmosphere around her. Will's warmth had transformed into something cooler, more distant. When she tried to engage him in conversation about the day ahead, his responses were brief and distracted. "Will, is everything okay?" Dylan finally asked one evening, unable to bear the tension any longer. He hesitated, his jaw tightening. "I've been thinking about a lot of things lately," he said carefully. "About responsibility. About who we let into our lives. About trust." Dylan felt her heart skip a beat. Could he somehow know, but how? She had told only Electra, and Electra had sworn to secrecy. "Will, if you have something you want to ask me," Dylan began, but he held up his hand. "I'm just saying that sometimes we make decisions we come to regret," he said quietly. "Sometimes we protect people without really knowing who they are." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with implication but not quite accusation. Not yet, anyway. Ivy, observing from a distance, smiled to herself. She had planted her seeds. It was only a matter of time before the harvest would come. The diary in her possession was a time bomb, and she had every intention of detonating it at the perfect moment when it would cause the most damage, hurt the most people, and most importantly, clear her path to her own objectives. The calm before the storm. The beach house, once a sanctuary of peace and family connection, had become a place of shadows and secrets. Dylan went about her days with an undercurrent of anxiety, sensing something was wrong but unable to identify the source. Will wrestled with doubts about the woman he had been trying to protect. And Ivy watched it all unfold with the patience of a predator who knows her prey is already cornered. Behind it all lurked the leather-bound diary, that collection of confessions and self-recriminations that could change everything. Ivy had the power to destroy Dylan's carefully constructed life, to shatter the fragile trust that existed within the Spencer household, and to emerge from the chaos with her own interests secured. In the world of times, the bold and the beautiful times, secrets rarely stay hidden for long, and when they're finally revealed, the consequences are rarely limited to just one person. They cascade through families, fracturing relationships, and creating chaos that ripples outward for episodes to come. As the tension builds and the truth inches closer to the surface, one question remains. Will Ivy use what she knows to truly protect Will, or is she simply playing out her own agenda, using Dylan's moment of weakness as a stepping stone to her own ambitions? On Times the Bold and the Beautiful asterisk, the answer is rarely as simple as it seems. The diary pages remain hidden for now, but their contents are already changing the landscape of the beach house. And somewhere, Ivy Forrester is simply waiting for the right moment to strike. What comes next? The soap opera world is built on dramatic revelations, and this one promises to be particularly explosive. Dylan's past contained within those leather-bound pages is a ticking time bomb that threatens to detonate at any moment. For Will, the discovery would mean grappling with feelings of betrayal and a loss of trust in his own judgment. For Dylan, it would mean facing potential legal ramifications and social condemnation. For Ivy, it represents an opportunity, a chance to reshape her position within the family and in Will's life. But Times the Bold and the Beautiful Times has taught viewers one crucial lesson over its many decades on the air: nothing stays secret forever, and everyone's past eventually catches up with them. When Dylan's diary becomes public knowledge and on daytime television, it inevitably will, the resulting fallout will be felt throughout the entire Spencer and Forrester families. The question isn't whether the truth will come out. The question is how much damage will be done when it does, and who will be left standing when the dust finally settles. In the meantime, Ivy holds her photographs and waits. The moment of revelation is coming. On Times the Bold and the Beautiful Times, secrets always resurface. It's simply a matter of when. Next. When commitment becomes compulsion on daytime television, viewers can't help but notice the red flags waving furiously in the background. The latest development on The Bold and the Beautiful has left longtime fans scratching their heads and questioning whether one of Forrester, creation's most eligible bachelors, has completely lost his romantic compass. Carter Walton, the dashing attorney who has captured hearts across Los Angeles, finds himself at the center of yet another whirlwind romance that's moving at breakneck speed, and this time, even the actor bringing him to life is raising concerns about his character's desperate behavior. The shocking engagement that nobody saw coming. The Forrester Creations offices practically shook when Carter Walton dropped to one knee and presented Daphne Rose with an engagement ring. The proposal itself wasn't necessarily the problem. Carter's known for his romantic gestures and his belief in true love. What sent shockwaves through the Bold and the Beautiful community was the timing and context surrounding this major commitment. Just weeks ago, Carter was deeply entangled with Hope Logan, planning a future together and envisioning their life as a power couple. The ink had barely dried on that relationship's ending before Daphne Rose swept into the picture. And now suddenly there's a wedding being planned at the iconic fashion house. The speed of this engagement has become the talk of the town, both on screen and off. Daphne Rose, while charming and beautiful, remains somewhat of an enigma to viewers who have been following Carter's romantic journey for years. The couple's courtship has been abbreviated at best, with minimal screen time dedicated to showing their connection developing organically. Instead, audiences witnessed what felt like a romantic fast-forward button being pressed, catapulting them from casual dating to wedding planning in what seemed like mere moments. The lack of foundational storytelling has left many viewers feeling disconnected from this pairing and questioning Carter's motivations for rushing into yet another serious commitment. A pattern of desperation emerges. Carter Walton has established himself as one of the most successful and respected professionals at Forrester Creations. But his track record in romance tells a completely different story. The handsome lawyer has demonstrated a troubling pattern of throwing himself headfirst into relationships without taking time to process previous heartbreaks or examine what went wrong. This cycle of intense romantic pursuits, followed by devastating endings, has become Carter's signature move, much to the frustration of viewers who want to see this genuinely good man find lasting happiness. The relationship with Hope Logan was particularly significant because it seemed different from Carter's previous entanglements. Hope represents sophistication, independence, and a shared history within the Forrester circle. When that relationship imploded, many fans expected Carter to take some time for self-reflection and healing. Instead, he immediately pivoted to Daphne Rose with the same intensity and urgency that characterized his previous relationships. This pattern suggests something deeper at play, a fear of being alone, or perhaps an unhealthy need for validation through romantic partnerships. Carter's behavior has transformed from endearing romantic optimism into something that resembles emotional desperation, when even the actor says this is too much. In a revealing and refreshingly honest moment, Lawrence St. Victor, the talented actor who breathes life into Carter Walton, sat down for an interview that pulled back the curtain on his character's latest storyline. Saint. Victor's comments were particularly striking because actors rarely criticize their own characters' choices so openly. The veteran soap star admitted that even he found Carter's hasty engagement to Daphne difficult to support, describing the character as trying too hard in his relationships. This acknowledgement, from the man who understands Carter Walton better than anyone, adds a layer of legitimacy to viewer concerns about the storyline's trajectory. Saint Victor's insights went deeper than simple criticism, though. The actor expressed genuine curiosity about what drives Carter's compulsive romantic behavior, questioning what experiences from his past might explain this desperate need to prove himself worthy of love. What is broken inside of him that makes him feel like he has to work so hard to be good, Saint? Victor pondered, highlighting the psychological complexity that could elevate Carter's character beyond simple romantic missteps. This kind of introspection from an actor suggests a desire to bring greater depth and understanding to Carter's journey, even if the current storyline feels rushed and forced. The mystery of Carter's family history. One of the most intriguing aspects of Carter Walton's character is the complete absence of family backstory in his narrative. Unlike many other Bold and the Beautiful characters whose parents, siblings, and extended family members regularly appear on screen, Carter exists in something of a familial vacuum. Saint. Victor specifically addressed this gap in his interview, expressing a strong desire to explore Carter's family dynamics and understand how his upbringing shaped the man he became. The actor theorized that Carter's family life might hold the key to understanding his relationship patterns and his seemingly desperate need to achieve perfection in love. This lack of family context becomes even more significant when considering how family relationships shape our understanding of love and commitment. Did Carter grow up watching an unhealthy relationship dynamic? Was he abandoned by someone important during his formative years? Did he experience conditional love that required him to constantly prove his worth? These unanswered questions create a narrative void that could be filled with powerful storytelling if the show's writers choose to explore this territory. Saint. Victor's comments suggest he's ready and willing to dive into that complex emotional material. Wedding bells or warning sirens? As Carter and Daphne's Forrester Creations wedding approaches, the atmosphere surrounding their relationship feels increasingly unstable. The elaborate wedding plans are moving forward with remarkable efficiency, but underneath the surface, cracks are beginning to show. Carter's intense focus on getting to the altar quickly is starting to register with Daphne, who may be questioning why her fiancé seems more invested in the idea of being married than in building a strong foundation with her. Specifically, his behavior suggests that any willing partner would do a deeply unflattering and concerning characteristic that threatens to undermine their entire relationship. The production's decision to host this wedding at Forrester Creations adds another layer of complexity to the situation. The fashion house has witnessed countless romantic moments and dramatic confrontations over the years, making it the perfect backdrop for what could become Carter's most embarrassing romantic misadventure yet. The setting also ensures that all of Los Angeles' elite will be in attendance, maximizing the potential for public humiliation if this engagement falls apart at the worst possible moment. Could a family member crash the party? Intriguing rumors circulating among Bold and the Beautiful spoiler communities suggest that Carter's mysterious family background might finally be addressed during his wedding storyline. Multiple sources hint that someone from Carter's past, possibly a family member who has never been mentioned on screen, could make a surprise appearance at the ceremony. This kind of dramatic interruption is classic soap opera storytelling, and it would provide the perfect opportunity to explore the family dynamics that same time Victor is so eager to examine. Imagine the impact if Carter's mother or father suddenly appeared, revealing uncomfortable truths about his childhood or expressing concerns about his pattern of hasty relationships. A family member could potentially see through Carter's desperate behavior and call him out in front of everyone, forcing him to confront the emotional issues he's been avoiding. Alternatively, a relative could arrive with revelations about Carter's past that explain his current behavior, providing context that transforms audience understanding of his character. Either scenario would inject much-needed depth into a storyline that currently feels superficial and rushed. The timing of such a family appearance would be devastating for Carter, who prides himself on maintaining composure and control in all situations. Having his personal issues exposed during what should be his happiest moment would create the kind of emotional crisis that could finally force him to address his underlying problems. It might also give Daphne the clarity she needs to recognize that she's marrying a man who hasn't fully dealt with his emotional baggage. As this wedding approaches, one question looms larger than all others: will Carter Walton finally recognize that his desperate pursuit of commitment is sabotaging his chances at genuine happiness? Or will it take a dramatic public confrontation to make him see what everyone else already knows, that trying too hard to be perfect in love often results in the exact opposite of what you're seeking?